How's it going, backpackers and campers? Dave here with Off Grid. I'm into backpacking, hiking, camping, and gear. If you like those things too, do me a favor, check out that subscribe button down below and that like button. It really helps out the channel and I would greatly appreciate it. Today is a little bit different. I'm wearing what I'm going to end up talking about today, and it's going to be a little bit more unconventional, but it's all about different types of knots that you can use when you're out there camping and backpacking. So this is a skill that I didn't have for the longest period of time, and I was like, I gotta do some research. I gotta figure this out because I don't really know anything about knots. I didn't grow up in the Boy Scouts or anything like that, so I was like, I gotta figure out some things that I can use and apply when I'm in the field. So today I'm gonna be throwing 4 somewhat simple knots at you guys, and then also I'm going to be getting into a bonus tip, and let's just dive right into it right now because I want to get the bonus tip out of the way real quick. And it doesn't really have that much to do with knots, but it does have to do with your line, and this might be something that you've seen before. That's why the bonus tip is coming first here. But basically it is how you end up winding your cord up. So what you end up doing, and if you don't necessarily have to invest in an alternate piece for this. The only thing that you need to do is to wind it around your hand, but not in the traditional loop fashion like this. What you're gonna end up doing is getting a little bit of slack here underneath your thumb, and then you're gonna be going over your pinky, and then you're gonna go over your thumb, and then back down again over your pinky. So you're basically just creating a figure 8, sort of like an infinity symbol. And you just keep going with it. So you just do that until you're out of cord, and you snake your hand out of it, take the excess, wrap it around a couple of times. If you want to make a simple knot from there, you can do that, but basically it just looks like this. So it still looks like a wadded up bunch of cordage, but when you go to unfurl it, it doesn't knot up. So it just comes out super nice and easy. So that's the bonus tip out of the way. Let's get into the knots right now. I'm gonna start sort of like in ascending order. So I'm gonna start with the one that I don't care for the most, and then end with the one that I'm probably gonna be using the most when I'm out in the field. And I'm gonna have links to all these in the description down below so you can check them out and try them out for yourself. So I'm gonna display it here in a couple of different ways because I know it's confusing, sort of like learning how to tie a tie. So it's gonna be the straight on view right here. It's going to be sort of like a top down view. But the first one I'm going to go over here is called a slipped overhand knot, and I think this is probably more applicable for, I think I've seen this more in like rock climbing and things of that nature. So you kind of have to play around with these and see which ones work best for you. But let me show you and demonstrate how to create the slipped overhand knot. All right, so what you got here is you've got your longer piece right here and your shorter piece right here. So it's going to come up in an arch. You're going to take the shorter piece, put it behind you here, and come across, and then go in front of it like this. And then you're going to take the slack from the front underneath the taller loop and then just pull up. And you kind of just form the knot as you go down right there. And there you have it. It is a very simple knot and a very easy to make, but it is also the least stable. And I'm basing this off of, you know, hammock campers as well as tent campers. Like I'm a tent camper, so I'll be using a lot of stuff either to hang around a tree like a clothesline, or to make my own ridge line in a tent, or you know, the most practical is probably going to be tying these to like stakes and other things, sort of like tying out the guy lines on your tent. So this slipped overhand knot I think is the least effective, mostly because you're able to slide this one. So this knot is adjustable, you can move it. But the biggest issue with this one here is that when you tension it down, you can see this shorter end here is gonna slip right through. So with a lot of wind and whatnot, if it comes through like that, it'll go all the way through. You'll have an additional knot that you have to get the kink out of, and isn't super practical. So it's probably the weakest knot that I'm going to show you today, but play around with it, see if you can use it for anything else. The next one that I'm going to show you, and this is like my second least favorite of the 4, which I thought was going to be my favorite in just doing research, but in trying it out, it actually didn't end up being my favorite. And this one is called the taut line hitch. So again, you got to think of, you know, a stake in the ground. So my finger will be like the stake right here. You're going to wrap it around your stake, and then you got the shorter end towards me here. So it's wrapped around the stake. So you're going to go underneath. You're going to curl it around 2 times. And then with the additional slack on that end piece, you're going to come back around underneath, and you're gonna do another loop on top of this knot over here. So it's gonna come back through on top of that knot, and then you tension it down. Now, if you do it the proper way, you should be able to slide this freely, but I can already tell that I jammed it here. So that's one of the biggest knocks that I have against this one, is you have to put it together in a certain way. And if you don't, then it has what they call, there's a term that they have on this website that I was looking at that I now understand. I didn't get it just reading it, but once I started doing it, I definitely understand it now. And it's called jamming under tension. So if it crosses up, if some of these loops right here and the knots cross up, then it jams, which basically means that you're not able to slide it freely anymore like this. So it basically becomes a fixed knot that isn't able to slide anymore. And I definitely see that as more of a detriment more than helping you out, because again, there's a lot more thought that you have to put into it, and there's a little bit more care that you have to put into it in order to set the knot up correctly. So, or the hitch, again, you know, sorry, I'm not a knot guy or a hitch guy, so I don't exactly know my knots and hitches, but this is technically a hitch. So that one is a little bit more pro level and a little bit more finicky. So it's not really for beginners, and it's a little bit tougher. All right, this next one is called the Bowline Knot. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna have the tall piece over on top right here, and then you're gonna have the smaller piece right here. And what you do is you curl it into a loop, and you grab the smaller piece, you come up through the loop, and then you come around this additional piece right here, the longer piece. You loop it around, and then you're gonna take that shorter end and go back through the loop that you just created. And this one is tough too, again, because it's fixed. You have to make sure that your end loop here is the size that you need it. But basically, you just tighten that up, and that's not going anywhere. It's not adjustable, but it's also not going anywhere. So if you need something that is super fixed and it's just, you know, you want it more rock solid than your traditional just, you know, loop it a couple times kind of knot, then this one is a great option for you on that. But as you can tell, as I'm trying to talk here, it definitely takes some finesse to get it out. So if you have frozen fingers and hands, then, you know, you want to make sure if you make this knot that it's not going anywhere. All right. That's 3 out of 4. The last one that I'm going to cover here is, or I should say, has quickly become my favorite just in field testing here. It is, I think, the easiest to use, but also the most applicable for my needs personally. Again, this is really up to you and how you want to use it. But the last one here, and you might have heard this one already by the rock band or the heavy metal band or whatever they're classified as, but it's known as the slip knot. And it's real easy once you get the knack of it, or once you get the hang of it. And all you're gonna end up doing here, let me show you real time. You got the long piece right here and the shorter end right here. You just kind of curl it in, and you can see it sort of looks like an hourglass shape right there. And all you do is you curl it around a couple of times. 2-3 times should do it. Really depends on, you know, how many times you want to curl it around, and you pull it tight. That's it. Now you might be looking at this one going like, it looks a lot like the slipped overhand knot, the one that I just showed you, the number 1 that I showed you, the first one that I started out with. And it does look very similar. However, the use on this one actually works in reverse. So the slipped overhand knot had all the tension go out of the shorter end and then just slipped off that way. This one is just in reverse. So you have the long piece here, and like, let's pretend my finger is the stake. When you tension this down, like let's say you have a really windy night, you can see that the knot closes in, but it closes in on the stake itself. So all of the tension is gonna go on the stake and just tighten the knot on the stake. But when you're ready to go in the morning, and when you're ready to leave and you don't want messy knots, it's real easy to just grab it and pull it off of the stake like that. And then all you have to do is take it off, and when you're gonna pull the tension, you can't really, this is sort of like dummy proof, you can't tension it down this way, you can't pull it out from this side to pull this tension out. It really only goes one way. So you can either tighten it up into a bigger knot or just pull this longer slack line right here, and it easily comes undone. And there's no muss, no fuss, no mess, and it's super easy. So let me do that one more time for you. You just curl it in, you wrap it around itself a couple of times, and you pull it down. This one, you do have to practice a little bit, depending on how much slack you want on that shorter end right there. But that's it. Very easily slides, but gives you the tension where you need it to, and won't come undone until you want it to. And it's very easy to just take it out and take that tension out, and you don't have a knot anymore. So that's my favorite knot that I'm probably going to use out in the field. I'm gonna probably use it for any additional guy lines and stakes. I think a lot of my guy lines already come with knots in them, but maybe I'll take them out and I'll try this out. It just makes it a lot more adjustable when you're in the field, and I'm really excited to try these out. But that's my intro level course here, and very quick overview of just 4 simple knots / hitches that you can use when you're out in the field. But play around with these. I want to know your thoughts in the comments down below, and let me know any other knots and hitches and any other formations that you like to use in the field. What did I miss? Let's get the discussion going. Let me know all about it in the comments down below. But thanks so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate you. Again, if you aren't subscribed, consider subscribing, sticking around for this community that I'm trying to build here on YouTube, and hit that like button. I would greatly appreciate it. But thanks again for watching this week, guys. And remember, if you're headed off grid, make sure you do your research and you make it a safe one. I'll see you on the next one. How do I look? Nice. So you create this very looking thing. Gotta try these out a little bit more.